Now, with so many paid and free resources across the internet when it comes to investing in the stock market, it's sort of hard to know which are the best resources to use and which ones are going to get you closest to your goals. Now, I've been investing in the stock market for around 8 years, and I built up a 7-figure portfolio full of different dividend-paying stocks and ETFs that currently pay me $90,000 plus per year. And this was largely made possible because of how much I was able to research throughout different resources across the internet, because to be completely honest, when it comes to investing, I'm basically self-taught. Now, in this video, I'm going to share with you guys 5 of my favorite free resources when it comes to investing in the stock market. These resources can all help you do things like stock pick, analyze different stocks or ETFs, and so much more. So if you want to see 5 of my absolute favorite resources when it comes to investing that are all absolutely free, well, make sure to stick around, drop a like down below, and let's get right into it. If you are a dividend investor who wants to level up your portfolio, you need to be tracking your dividend income consistently. And that's why I created the perfect dividend tracker that I've used to scale my dividend income up to all-time highs over the last year. Now, along with this dividend tracker, you're also going to receive my A to Z dividend investing ebook, which shows you how I personally started from $0 several years ago to now where I earn over $7,500 per month in dividends. So if you want this tracker and the ebook, go to the first link down below in my description and grab it today. Now, the first resource I use on a daily basis, this is a website that I came across early on in my investing career, and I am a huge fan of it, and like I said, a daily user as of right now. I'm talking about seekingalpha.com, which is a website full of different articles, different analysis for different stocks and ETFs, but also has a search bar right at the top where you can look into basically any different stock and or ETF across the market, look at summaries as far as the charts go, look at the top 10 holdings as far as ETFs. Then you can go through and see things like ratings, momentum, expense ratio, dividends. The amount of things that you can do on this simple website goes on and on and on. Now, there is of course a paid version when it comes to Seeking Alpha, and I think there's honestly a paid version more or less on every single resource across the markets. But for the most part, you can do a ton for free on Seeking Alpha, and you can get a lot out of this website with absolutely no money. Now, one of the main things I recommend, especially to newer investors just starting off, this is what I did in my early days, go on Seeking Alpha or go on any of these different resources and just type in different stocks, type in different ETFs. In my opinion, you shouldn't necessarily spend your hard-earned money in the market until you actually sort of understand what's going on and how things work, but that's just my personal opinion. But what's great about Seeking Alpha is, like I said, you can go through and look at different stocks or ETFs, look at what they've done as far as financially, look at earnings reports, dividends, etc., etc. Now, out of all these different resources, I probably spend the most time on my personal dividend tracker that I talked about a second ago that you guys can get down below in my description, because I'm constantly going through my personal portfolio and building it out. But number 2, I probably spend the most time on seekingalpha.com. The next free resource that I use a ton also is stockanalysis.com. This website is somewhat similar to any other stock market website, just like Seeking Alpha, but it has a little bit of a different look to it, and they have a few features that I absolutely love. Now, stockanalysis.com is cool because if you go up here and type in any different stock, they're going to have a tab here called forecasts, and then right here, if you click on it, you can actually see what different analysts think what's going to happen with a stock in the next 12 or so months. Like for Realty Income, for example, ticker symbol below, it says the 14 analysts with a 12-month price forecast for Realty Income stock have an average target of 62.46 with a low of 54 and a high of 71. Now, I like this because you can go through, like I said, and sort of get a read on what different analysts think is going to happen with the stock. And of course, just because they think it might go up from here doesn't mean that it's going to, but it's just sort of a fun infographic and a way to visualize what could happen with the stock sometime in the future. Now, other than that, when it comes to stockanalysis.com, I also like how they have things laid out as far as dividends go and dividend history. You can see more or less every single dividend over a long time frame of what a stock or ETF has paid. Now, again, what's cool about investing in 2025 is basically any website these days that does stock market information like this, you're going to be able to get more or less a lot of the same information. So it really depends on what you like, how the website's laid out, and really what fits with what you're trying to do. But stockanalysis.com is also a great free resource. Like I said, I use the forecast tab quite a bit to look into what different analysts are thinking about different individual stocks. I do go on this website quite often. Now, another one of my all-time favorite websites is dividendchannel.com. This website, you can basically type in any different stock or ETF and see exactly what would happen if you were to invest $10,000 into the ETF or stock. This is since inception. So take JEPI ETF, for example. A $10,000 investment with dividends being reinvested along the way would have turned into around $17,290. It also then goes on to show you how much of a total return this would have been, and even on average, how much the average annual total return would be. Now, this is super fun to go through and look at the performance of different stocks, compare them to each other even. And honestly, honestly, I spend a ton of time on Dividend Channel also. Now, side note, if you guys want links to all of these different websites, my 5 favorite resources, go to the second link down below in my description and I'll give you that resource. But dividendchannel.com, like I said, has been one of my favorites for several years now. It's really fun to compare different stocks and ETFs to each other. Like right here, for example, if we were to compare JEPI to SPY, you can see that over time, the last 4.64 years, JEPI has returned 17,000 and some change, and SPY's returned around 21,000 some change over the same exact time frame. Once again, just a super fun resource that's free that you can kind of poke around on. And like I said, guys, especially if you're newer to investing, mess around and research as much as possible. I promise, take it from a self-taught investor. The more you research, the more you sort of get used to all the things there is when it comes to investing, the easier it's going to be later on. The next resource that I use quite often, especially because I personally do invest quite a bit in ETFs. So if you're an ETF investor, this is going to be extremely helpful for you. But this website is called etfrc.com. And in this website, it's pretty cool that you can compare multiple different ETFs and find the different overlap that they might have. Now, for example, SEHD and DGRO, 2 awesome dividend growth style ETFs. You can see that if you compare the two and look for overlapping, 33 different stocks overlap, and around 34% of SEHD's 103 holdings are also in DGRO. But on the other side, DGRO only has around 8.3% of their holdings made up in SHG. Now, what's cool and helpful about this is that you can see that there's some overlap, but not necessarily all that much overlap, around 16% to be exact. So that might mean that if you like DGRO and SHG, for example, that might mean that it might be worth buying into both them because, again, they both are very different as far as the underlying holdings. Now, this website is going to be extremely helpful, like I said, if you invest in a lot of ETFs, which I do personally. And it's once again just another tool in your toolbox when it comes to investing long term. Now, the last and final website that I use quite often, not necessarily as much as the others, but still I am on it quite often, is Stockwits.com, where you basically can type in any different stock, any crypto, or any ETF, and you can sort of see what the community at large is talking about it. So for example, I typed in realty income, and you can see a lot of different investors, different usernames, talking about realty income and what's going on with it. Now, this can be very helpful when it comes to investing, especially because at times investing can feel very lonely. Now, the last bonus resource I wanted to give you guys, I could not leave this out in this video because I also use this one all the time too. I go on marketbeat.com and use their free dividend calculator. Now, there's so many different dividend calculators on the internet, but this one's pretty cool because you can type in different stocks or ETFs and have all the information preloaded, or you can go through and look at different scenarios. Let's say you have $50,000 to invest into something, and let's say it yields this much, it grows by this much, etc., etc. You can mess around and build out different theoretical situations for different investment opportunities and see potentially later on in the future what that could exactly turn into. Now, this has been extremely helpful to visualize what my future situation could look like based upon whatever stocks and ETFs I currently invest into. And although it's all just to be estimated, it doesn't mean that what's happening in the past or what's happening now can happen in the future. It is sort of motivating to see what can happen if you consistently buy into different stocks and ETFs long term. So because I personally do use MarketBeat so much, I mean, you guys have probably seen me use this website quite often on my videos, I had to also include this one in this video. So there we have it, guys. Those are multiple different free resources that I currently use in my investing career on a consistent basis. Like I said, some of them more than others. Now, across any website these days, there's more or less going to be a free version and a paid version. But for the most part, between you and I, you can get a lot done with the free version, especially with how robust a lot of these different resources are. Now, like I said, down below in my description, you guys can grab this right here, custom dividend tracker to track all of your dividend income, just like I've been doing. And I hand built this dividend tracker for the community. But also below that link, you're going to see a resource where you can see all these different free resources all in one place. But one last thing before I go, I do have a question for you guys down below. When it comes to free resources and investing, what's your #1 favorite that you've came across? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like on it and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.